Hi, everyone. Happy brunch. Happy Sunday brunch, one and all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me see how we are doing here. Let me make sure all is well. All is well. All is right with the world as we, whoops, that is loud, as we come together. Twitter bug. Well, I think that if we had no free will Twitter bug, then what would be the fun of being in this video game? Because we're probably consciousness playing a video game, right? So if you welcome everyone, by the way, my name is Whimsy. And I am the hostess for a Sunday brunch that we have every Sunday at 11 p.m. Pacific Daylight Standard Time. We try to do this every week, and we've done this brunch for, I'd say, well over 5 years now. And everyone is welcome to our brunch. The only rule we have is be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. And yeah, so what we do is we talk politics. We are respectful of everyone's opinions. We have a little coffee, a tea, we chat. I'd like to introduce our very own Joel Tilson. He helps me see questions because sometimes I can't always see. We have a lot of times people all talking at the same time. He helps keep us organized. He's a very nice floor director. I also want to give a shout out to Debbie Brader, Future Shaper. She is a YouTube media specialist. She's a talent manager and creative director, etc. Please reach out to her if you need help starting your channel. And of course, all of you who have become members and are supporting the channel, Rush, Donna Andrew, Stephanie Stevens, Copper Broom, hello, Roxanne Clement, hello, Marjorie Harrison. Even if you decide not to be a member, liking and subscribing are great ways to support the channel. Every week on Sunday, we raise funds for a worthy cause. We have a couple worthy causes that we change out through the year that we feel good about. Not every charity is available on YouTube. YouTube takes no profits. It goes 100% to that charity. But one of my favorite charities is AmericanForest.org. For every dollar raised, it goes to forest management and the planting of at least one sapling. So we are dealing with, whether people want to admit it or not, a climate change. And there's quite a bit of fires. What is any more news anybody's getting about the fires and the heat dome over the southeastern United States? Sounds like it's, what was it, 100 and something? A couple people died. Absolutely terrible. Anyway, so yeah, and so that is our charity. If you're entertained today, please feel free to throw a couple bucks their way and have some tree babies. Okay, so we've got a comment here coming in for Twitter Bug. They says, Whimsy briefly mentioned in a previous video how there are some people who believe in the concept of no free will. We don't actually have choices. Does anyone know where such is discussed? Well, I'm referring to the work of Sapolsky, who wrote the book Behave. Behave is the book that we were discussing. And it's written by the neurologist, neurochemist. I can't remember what his official title is. Robert Sapolsky. And it is Robert Sapolsky's belief that most of what we do is based on unconscious things that we have no control of, including our human emotions, and that many of our emotions are based simply on discomfort in our body. An emotion is nothing but an uncomfortable feeling in our body. And many of the time we create stories so that we don't have to feel awful about ourselves. So we behave. So we behave so that we will not feel bad inside of ourselves. And behaving means that we are wired and programmed to adhere to the rules of the tribe that we come from, because we don't want to have these awful feelings of shame and etc. And so they are so ingrained in us that they take away a great deal of our personal free will. We have to break away from and stop behaving. And even rebellions can be predicted. You'll have a revolution, and then you'll have a counter revolution. So his book Behave talks about all of that. Do I think that there's some truth to that? Then we talked about Camus, right? Albert Camus, is that how you pronounce his name? Did I say that right? I know we have plenty of teachers here. And he wrote The Stranger. And the stranger is a person who is feeling, he's just honest about how he feels. And so for that reason, he is strange. He has to visit his mother's funeral, and he just wants a cup of coffee because it's an all-night vigil. He ends up shooting and killing somebody because he's hot and uncomfortable, and they're picking a fight with him. So he winds up on death row in Algeria. But it's all about how his behaviors are predictable because of how he physically feels and how it affects his mental state and his choices. Being overheated on a beach with a headache, trying to keep people from killing each other, so he takes their gun away, and the next thing you know, he's walking down a beach hot and annoyed with a gun, and he's the one in the altercation, right? So Albert Camus. Oui. Okay, so that is, is there any truth in any of this? Discuss. That'll be our first discussion. Excuse me for a second. He's a biologist. So we're talking about the book Behave by Robert Sapolsky. And he is a biologist who explores whether or not it is our biology and adaptation to behave a certain way, and based on our physiology, we will do that. Yeah, we will do what our physiology demands. Okay. Okay, I don't know what I did with the book. The book of the month is disappeared somewhere. Oops, I don't know where. Yes, the book of the month. What did I do with it? Well, hold on a second. That's so weird. I was looking at it and planning on taking it with me to Japan, and I misplaced it. I wonder if I packed it already. I apologize. So, the book is The Fallen, and it is written by Audrey Steidel, and it is a ghost story that takes place in London. I apologize. I can't find it, but that is our book of the month. Yes, the cards were right. Princess Catherine was recovering, and people were like, "She's dead." And I just said, "You know what? I'm not going to have an emotional stake in this. I'm just going to look at the cards." And the card said, "No, actually, she's recovering. She's a strong cookie, and she's going to come out of this." So people are worried it was a domestic violence because a scar was found. There's scars. Those scars actually, with it being above the eyebrow, if your eyebrow is above the bone, that's a facelift. If your bone is down here and your eyebrow is up here, you've had a facelift. So at some point, she had work done. And that doesn't mean domestic violence. And that doesn't mean she had work done while this was going. I mean, who knows? But a sign that somebody's had work done is if you see the bone here and the eyebrow is up here. Many actresses have that. It doesn't look bad. I don't think it necessarily looks bad, but it's a telltale way of being able to tell. Sharon Stone's eyebrows are like up here. I guess if you do it a few times, they get higher and higher. So it looks like she's only done it maybe once because they're like up here. It's not too extreme. It's not too extreme. Yeah, it's an eyebrow lift. They're very common. And they just remove part of this area, which is starting to hang. They get rid of it. And then here is where it heals, right at the fold. I've had friends do it. And then I think they do something here as well. They pull something here. And so the eyebrow, skin here and skin under here is removed in the fold. And then you wind up with that, "I'm awake and bright." I think she had a facelift. I'm beginning to think it. No, I think that she probably didn't want to come out until you also, once you've had a facelift, you can't go out in the sun because it'll leave scars on your face, and you don't want those little tiny scars, like that little tiny hint of a scar that you'll get after a facelift. That too will fade, but you have to stay out of the sun. She might have done both. Who knows? We'll probably never know. But she's definitely had a face. I can only tell you as a doctor, I'm convinced she's had a facelift based on where her eyebrows are. Let's do the empath's prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Sorry, there's a little bit of cat hair. All right. So tell me a little bit about what's going on with all of you. You've done things where you felt like you had no control. Well, I think the takeaway of Behave is that it helps us become shockingly aware of how little free choice we actually have. All right. So the question that, I check my email if you guys write me because I love y'all so much. And some of you text me and some of you call me, and that's cool. And I would say hands down 90%, not 90%, but the overwhelming majority of you wanted to talk about the latest stuff that's been coming out, not just by Midas Touch, but by um, what are considered conventional news channels like ABC News. Has broached the issue. CNN is a cable network, but ABC is pretty middle of the road. Um, do you think that we're looking at mental decline, or is this individual that we're talking about always been this way? I mean, he said crazy things even prior to running the first time. He wanted to kill the people who had been falsely accused of the rape of the jogger in New York, the five. So he's always been really controversial. And so it's hard. I don't know if, are we looking at cognitive? Okay, the next question I guess I'm going to ask. Another way maybe to ask it is, do you think his mental health would have improved? Central Park 5. Excuse me. Do you think his mental health would improve if he didn't have the stress of the trials, etc.? Or do you think it has nothing to, do you think the two are related? Pete's Coffee. I mean, I really would like to know. I mean, I have my theories. I'm surprised people are not talking about drug use because of the slurring of the words. People will say, oh, cognitive decline, but we can do better than that as healthcare providers. What time of the day was he slurring? What is his medication regimen if you're taking care of a senior? Could it be that he's on a medication, excuse me, that is part of his protocol that's causing some of these adverse effects? We have a problem in the United States with the over-medicating of seniors. Would you agree or disagree? Do we have a problem with over-medication in the United States? How easy is it to get a prescription in the United States? Because this is what people wanted to talk about, you know. When Catherine went missing, um, we did a remote view on that, and it said that she would heal, become a great artist, that she wanted to have her own money, and that she was not dead, and people refused to believe it. I have to give a remote whether or not people find me popular or not. You have to be true to yourself. The remotes also said that she was genuinely sick. It's terrible what happened to her, and that she was not happy in her marriage. So it's just a tell the truth no matter what. And the chips, if you screwed up, then that's okay. You're supposed to screw up. We're only human. And it'll make you a better remote viewer, and you'll get out of ego, because we can all get into ego too much. In the issue of Donald Trump, the reason why I want to know what time of day he's slurring his words is that, are we looking at sundowning? Is it a senior at 7, 8, 7, 8 o'clock at night who's starting to get tired? And so cognitive decline is common as a senior gets sleepy. Or is it first thing in the morning, and did he take a sleeping pill like a benzo or a muscle relaxant like a benzodiazepine the night before? So he's not always slurring his words. He's slurring his words at particular times. So I have to know, if I'm taking care of a senior, Why is he slurring his words some of the time and not just assume a stroke? Sure, you want to do a neurological exam and imaging, but I'm looking at medications because the second part of the question to all of you is, are we over-medicating seniors? And as a result of over-medicating seniors, are we seeing physical symptoms that we think are a disease when in fact it's just over-medication? Over-medication and addiction. All right, so Joel is mentioning something that is very common in professional wealthy men, and this is called the yo-yo drug diet. Has anyone ever heard of this yo-yo drug diet? Did anyone ever see Bugsy with who's the actor? He was so good looking when he was younger. Oh my gosh. Warren Beatty, what a hottie. Oh my Lord, he was too good looking. You just knew he was going to use you. Shampoo, hubba hubba. The point is this. I know. He brought in the Rat Pack, right? So the Rat Pack, Warren Beatty, thank you. Yes. And Bugsy. And the drugs and the prostitution and the gambling, right? So they were making bank, and of course the mafia was all over it, and the mafia was trying to get legitimate. It was really supposed to be a tax haven, so they were looking for shell companies, right? So they threw it into, and then the shell companies ended up making a bunch of money, right? They were just trying to hide their drug money and their prostitution and et cetera, et cetera. But that's the yo-yo diet. And it's mentioned, I think also, the Malibu yo-yo diet, right? You take the amphetamines so that you don't have an appetite, right? And then you can't sleep. So you're up till 2, 3 in the morning wired. You're lucky if you nibble. You're going to stay thin because your doctor's giving you vitamins, right? That's what they would call them, vitamins. And then at night, you got to take benzodiazepines for your muscles to loosen up. So that is the Malibu yo-yo, kind of the Hollywood yo-yo diet. It's like my friend Chuck was saying, The Apprentice was shot on a soundstage in California, much of it. So what do you do when you have to be up and count money in a nightclub at 2, 3 in the morning? Everybody's on amphetamines, and then you can't sleep, and so you take a sleeping pill. So if a person is used to that lifestyle of not sleeping and being up till 6 a.m., and everybody else is wiped out because they're not on your drug regimen, it's also great for the ego. You can go around talking about how all these young kids can't keep up with you. Of course they can't, because they're not on drugs. The other thing, speedballing and mixing downers and stimulants. Kieran Marr talked about this. Very common to see alcohol in the mix. Supposedly, Don didn't get into alcohol. His drug of choice was prescription drugs. So if the next question we have to ask ourselves is, what are some of the chronic diseases that can progress in seniors that have an addiction to these types of prescription drugs? What are some of the physical side effects? Parkinsonian dementia, maybe? And why would it be Parkinsonian dementia? Why are we talking Louis about it? Let's talk. Oh, God, I'm losing it. Look at how I spelled dementia. Whimsy. You need that vacation. There's vascular. That's also a possibility, considering vascular would be that your Pipes are clogged. What can clog your pipes? Fat. Calcifications, fat, yuck. It's when what can clog the pipes? McDonald's. Frontal lobe dementia can be common in a head injury or a stroke, where you'll have loss of boundaries, inappropriate behavior. In a case of Parkinson's, it's associated with declines in dopamine producing cells and dopamine receptor site cells, right? So those are in, those of you who are doctors and healthcare providers, the substantia nigra, right? So that is a part of the brain that helps with smooth movements, right? And it can begin to decline as we age, causing a shake, right? And why are we looking at that specifically? Because dopamine, increasing dopamine in the brain is what amphetamines do, right? So amphetamines are stimulants that, oh God, I can't spell to save my life. Are stimulants that basically, we're going to assume just amphetamines, look it up. What they do is they basically stress the dopamine producing cells in the brain, and this can cause them to die. Now, how many of these amazing brain cells producing dopamine do we actually have in our brain? Only a few million, right? We have something like 250 million or something like that, like very few. So that may seem like a lot, but it's actually very, very little. And so for that reason, they can die very quickly. What kills dopamine in the brain? What is going to kill dopamine in the brain? Like I said, prescription pills, amphetamines, benzos will raise GABA. But it's really the amphetamines, cocaine, goes directly into the nose, into the brain. And the other thing is pesticides. Pesticides also associated with damage to the dopamine producing. So this is why we tell people to be very careful about the air that they're breathing, viruses getting in through the nose and attacking parts of the brain, like those dopamine producing cells. So we know a few things about this individual. Of course, we also have to look at things like genetics, head injuries, right? So all of these things are when we're looking at any kind of a mental health challenge, age is another factor, right? He is physically active. He plays golf. He's not entirely inactive, but his diet is terrible. So, and he's overweight. We would probably be what would we be looking at in terms of blood sugar? Another factor, right? Of course, hypertension. HTN is an abbreviation for hypertension. So what are we looking at when this person, he can talk a good game, but when this guy comes into your office and you're a doctor, what are you going to be looking for if you're looking at cognitive decline? You're going to be looking at, number one, the age of your patient. You're going to be looking at the weight of, you're going to be looking at hypertension, top of the list, because that's increased risk for stroke and heart attack. You're going to be looking at the weight. So weight, blood pressure, just in terms of physically, weight, blood pressure, whether or not they're in good physical shape. Can they touch their toes? And then you're going to give them a neuro, going to ask them something like 31 questions to determine their cognition. Who's the president of the United States? Do you live in the northern or southern hemisphere? What year is it? I'm going to give you 4 random words, and ball, tree, walk, garage. And then you start talking, and then 20 minutes later, ask them, what were the 4 words I asked you? Can you remember any of those words? So a gait is another one. Good point, Gold Weaver. We can check to see the gait. For example, we notice he's leaning forward. That would be a changing gait we might see with Parkinsonian dementia. What would we see on imaging? Lewy bodies? What do those look like? So, and specifically, where are they? Different types of dementia. You know what? This is why imaging is so important. This is why imaging is so important. The thing that's so scary about Parkinsonian dementia is that things can enter through the nasal passages, and then you can get infections in here. And I truly believe that viruses are a real risk factor. Uh, any chance you can to protect yourself from airborne viruses, I would do it. I just think it's becoming increasingly obvious that as we get older, our immune system declines. And so this whole area, here's your nasal passages, it can enter in through to the first cranial nerve and begin to infect the areas that are being affected. The other thing that we notice with dementia is blood sugar dysregulation. And so we're seeing diabetes happening inside the brain, and blood sugar can damage proteins. And so we're seeing nerve cells being damaged by too much sugar. So whether the sugar is elevated sugar in the brain or elevated sugar in the peripheral nervous system. I don't know anything about whether Trump did cocaine or not. It wouldn't surprise me given that the environment that he was in. But I can just tell you in answer to the question what I think. I think that we're looking at the symptom picture of a senior, overweight, probably hypertension, blood sugar dysregulation, hyperlipidemia. I don't know if I mentioned that, hyperlipidemia. All of those are risk factors for stroke, Alzheimer's, etc. So you would want to clean up his diet for sure, put him on intermittent fasting, get him off any pharmaceuticals if pharmaceuticals are definitely a problem. But, I don't know, folks. Is there such a thing as going to the point of no return? I've never heard people like Dr. Daniel Amen say that. He's really optimistic that much of this stuff can be reversed. However, in the case of Parkinsonian dementia, I don't know, because if the cells are dead and you've only got a very small amount of them, type 3 diabetes, yes, very good. If that's what we're talking about, then short of stem cell therapy, or some kind of pharmaceutical to replace what the dopamine producing and dopamine receptor sites on certain cells, what they're able to do, it's very scary. It's different than if you get Alzheimer's, which is closer linked to type 3 diabetes. Yeah. I'm so looking forward to going out and today for a walk. I'm going to try and get a little bit of a hike in. All right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do the community reading now. My remotes when I go into this is that I just always feel like as this person, I'm always struggling for power, and that I am terrified of having power slipping away. And this fear that my magic is gone as the entertainer, as the actor, that my performance, and I've lost Roger Stone. I feel that Roger and I are on and outs, that he and I don't, and he was really the star maker. And so it's going to be really hard for me to make it without Roger. I feel like the good times came and went. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's just so sad. Violence, interesting thing that Karen brings up is that his wives have talked about his having a temper or being violent. I think Melania talked about that she just gets quiet. I've seen pictures of him ranting and raving in the back seat of a, limo, and she just, she's very strong and she doesn't care. I mean, there's a lot to be said about not caring. It's the Tao of Melania. He's screaming and having a meltdown, and she's worrying about her photo shoot. I mean, she worries about what she can control, how she looks. That's the Tao of Melania. And to be honest with you, it's worked for her. Oh my God. All right. Would everyone like to have a personal reading today on this week? I would love to give you a reading. Also, be sure and tell me what you would like to see of my visit to Japan. I'll be going with my dearest friend, Frances, one of my closest friends who I met via this channel. I have met the most amazing people through this channel. A friend of mine is here. Speaking of K-Travel, is a friend of mine I met through the channel. Debbie, I met through the channel. Joel, I haven't personally met him, but I feel like we've become friends. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You guys should think about doing YouTube. You guys can make friends, particularly if you think like, nobody likes me. Can come out here and you'll always find someone who does like you, that can totally relate to you. Will I buy a silk robe? Maybe we'll see. I'm a frugal girl, and so I have to have a conversation with Frances beforehand. Like, I tend to go crazy and spend more money, and I don't want to spend too much, because if I spend too much, I'm not going to be able to go on a second. If I stay frugal and I'm really, really frugal at home, I'll be able to go to Ireland for 10 days in August, September, which is what I'm planning. So the takeaway is that you got to be frugal if you want to do a lot of traveling. Okay, here is your community reading. What can you and the rest of the world look forward to in the coming week? And thank you everyone who is donating and buying trees through AmericanForest.org. May your trees live long and healthy. May you raise many healthy pine. Thank you. All right. What is happening this week? The energy is people can go to war or they can pursue armistice. We've talked about pure math. We've talked about what the computer says. And we've talked about the fact that people don't always like what the computer has to say. And if I say to the computers, if I am trying to keep people from dying, and I say, hey, computer, how do we have the least amount of people dying in all of these wars? Then this is the computer is going to come up with something like this: ceasefire, right? Sooner you can get to ceasefire, the people don't die, and war kills people, and ceasefire is how you keep people from dying, right? So you'll get the computer to come up with something like this, right? So this is the future. Why is this the future? How do we know? Is Whimsy some brilliant? Well, of course I am. Oh, yes, I am. Of course, darling, you're just too wonderful. Oh, say it over and over and over again. Make me feel wonderful. No. This is what I got as a remote viewer when I used the frontal cortex of my brain, which is something we do in remote viewing. We step back and we listen to Robert Sapolsky and we observe our emotional body. And what HCRV does is it allows you to get out of emotion. So we're looking at potential ceasefire. And if ceasefire doesn't happen, then we're looking at an aggressive push by the West. You can go ahead and read this on your own. We've gone through this, but I can assure you that the UN Security Council knows this. If you and I figured this out, this was sent December 19th to Benny Gantz. If we know it, they know it, right? We're not telling them anything they don't know. But this is the future. If I know it, the West knows it. So this is where we're headed. They know that the three-phase plan has to happen. They know that Putin has to be out as soon as possible. And they know that until they dismantle Iranian leadership, the nightmare of the Middle East will never end because it's all due to Iran. So the 5 steps are the 5 steps. You can't avoid them. You can't talk them away. And this nightmare will not end without those 5 steps. And so that is where we are headed. Ace of Cups stands in the base of the matter, and Ace of Cups is an offer of peace, but the Karma card is more war, Knight of Rods. Russia's fleeing Crimea. Now they are surrendering in Kharkiv. It's not going well for them because they bankrupted their own military. We've talked about that. How is this applying to you in your own life? You are in a place of peace. Your base card is the Ace of Cups, and your Karma card is travel. So it's a bit of a aggressive yang energy. Get out there and see the world a little bit. Where you're at right now, your judgment is good. If you are saying, I need to make calculated risk and get out a little bit more, get out and see Well, Nancy, are you coming? Who's coming with me to Ireland? Thank you. Nancy is telling us where to stay. She's saying that we should stay in Maynooth. All right, whatever you say. Why don't you go ahead and can you organize that? I will do it, whatever you want. And if whoever wants to join me, but I got to have my own room. I got like a space thing going on. All right. Judgment is good. You're very smart, very smart. Honey, I believe you could do 10 days, including plane in Ireland for $2,000, 10 days. You just take it's 14 pounds to get to Cork by bus from Dublin. And you can stay in capsule hotels for $40 a night. Breakfast included. So you're only responsible for lunch. You can treat yourself to a nice little lunch special. And then at night, I usually have a snack and I get stuff at like the 7-Eleven. Yeah. I don't drink. So I don't, and I come back shocked at how much money I don't spend because I don't want to, I'm not into tourist stuff. I like quaint little places walking, and I love finding a little place in the middle of nowhere and having a quaint cup of tea and seeing nature. I'm not a tourist person. Look at this, you guys. Your judgment is sound, and 6 of Cups is right over you. Now is the time to manifest true love. Have you ever truly loved another person or another being? By the way, this is also a time when many of you will be rescuing animals in need, animals that are about to be put to death, or animals that are, we've been doing a lot to raise money about senior animals, but there's a lot here about finding soulmates, both human soulmates and animal soulmates. Like a judgment is sound to try and save as many lives and help as much and bring as much true love into your life as possible. Meditation and take rest breaks. It's very important for you at this time to center yourself, and to, when you do have the energy, your energy must be organized energy. Think about Thich Nhat Hanh and this idea of everything should be, when you are using your energy, try and have it be productive. Use your energy productive. Why fly into Dublin to go to Cork when you can fly into Shannon? Because I want to see Dublin. I'm going to go to Dublin first. And then I'm going to do the loop. I'm going to go all the way around. And so you just do a circle until, well, I could start on the western side or I can start on the eastern side, Cork. Everybody who I've talked to tells me go west first, but they're like, boring. If you go east, they're like, boring, go west. So I'll do whatever people tell me to do. Like, I'll take plenty of pictures. I know a lot of you don't want to travel and you're YouTube travelers, and I totally respect that because I also do that when I don't want to travel. So just tell me what you want to eat and see when I travel to Japan or wherever, and I'll get you some good pics. All right. Frugal travel. Yeah. All right. Regarding issues concerning money, they say hold on your money, but don't be worried. There's money from the past going towards bright sunny days. So the energy of past money is coming through. I don't know what's happening here, but I have a feeling that Joe Biden may be raising more money is coming to seniors. I'm seeing like $250 more. I don't know what this is, but there's some bonus of like a couple $100 coming to seniors. You can see here, from the past earned will come a son. Where we are at right now, we're feeling bound. A lot of this is just concerns about money, concerns about the future economy. The opposition at this time, 10 of Swords. As much as we are hurting in this world, others are hurting as well, particularly those who have harmed us. The hope and fear lovers. And then the final outcome is take things slowly. So there's a possibility that some of you, like I said, will be in new relationships, either romantic or animal adoption. China is a danger for America. Russia in Europe later. Yeah, I think Russia could be if they would just get rid of, they're going to have to go back to their original constitution and get rid of Putin. Linda, yeah. Because Russia's collapsed. They said get out. Well, I told people get out by June 15th by Crimea, but they said that they were planning something June 17th, 18th approximately. So, yeah, they're getting their equipment out of there or they're going to lose their equipment. Knight of Pentacles, take your life slow and steady wins the race. Be frugal at this time, but make an effort to get out there more in the world. You will have, if you take things slow and steady and do not stress, your way is blessed and you will have a very successful year. That is your reading. You can see here you pulled double aces. Your base card, the 12th, was the Ace of Cups, which, so this loving, beautiful energy is coming to the world. That can also be like an armistice or love. You can see here, Karma card can be war, Knight of Wands. Some people just want to keep fighting. I knew we were going to get a response from Hamas on Tuesday, and I was hoping they would take but they rejected it on Tuesday. You can't force people to do what they don't want to do. Outcome, like I said, Ace of Swords, which is victory after tears. I also read swords as a 1-year period. So keep on keeping on, be frugal, be smart, but get out and make calculated risk, like me putting money aside so that I can see more of the world before I die. Otherwise, I seek discomfort. It's like Yes Theory on YouTube. If you don't seek discomfort, you can't guarantee how many years you'll be on the earth. None of us knows how much longer we have. You could die tomorrow. You could get hit by a bus. So make the commitment every day to see the world, get out and challenge yourself and be a little uncomfortable. Nothing amazing happens until we get ourselves a little uncomfortable. But I'm a spoiled brat, right? So I'm thinking, well, I have to fly. Our ancestors, what they survived, and I'm whining, I have to fly Hawaiian Air. And then when I get to Honolulu, I transfer Hawaiian Air to a direct flight to Tokyo. It's going to take 21 hours, right? That's my idea of suffering, right? So we don't realize just how wealthy we are. We always want to be a little bit more wealthy. So good news. Hawaiian Air is offering you an upgrade to business class and first class. Just give us a little bit more money. Well, I deserve first class. I didn't do it because I'm not going to spend $1,000 or whatever and so that I can be comfortable for 5 hours. The 5.5 hours from here to Honolulu, and for an extra $150, you can write first class and have an extra olive in your drink. It's like, are you out of your damn mind? I'm not going to do that. It's ridiculous. That is a fragile ego if you need to do that. You can't sit there in that chair like a lady 5.5 hours and get your work done, read a book. You just got to be in first class. An extra $550. Come on, Whimsy, if you could do it, would you do it? Of course. But I wouldn't, but knowing you can't and accepting it, that's yeah. All right, when anybody is ready, we will blitz away and then we'll get to everybody's questions. Again, we are building a forest. If you'd like to donate to our charity of the week, it is americanforest.org. Thanks, everybody. All right. Tell me, is anybody traveling? Is anybody traveling? Do talk. Am I the only one that's being daring and going anywhere? Who here besides me is going to put themselves out there and get on a plane, go with another person, and then you can cut cost on your hotel? Or you can go, see, I'm all about saving money. Go capsule hotel. I just take buses. I mean, there's so many ways to see the world. Yeah. What does Adderall do to an Alzheimer's patient? Some patients do better on stimulants, particularly if we're looking at sundowning. Adderall raises epinephrine epinephrine in the body, and it also raises dopamine, both of which would theoretically help with cognition. And so this is another reason why people will drink a lot of coffee. However, people need to know that chronic coffee consumption is associated with chronic inflammation, and that a lot of seniors are diagnosed with inflammatory conditions because they're consuming too much coffee. I have a family member that just guzzles Mountain Dew with caffeine and a diet and pots of coffee all day long. And she has chronic pain, and the doctors give her drugs, and nobody bothered to pull her caffeine consumption. Yeah, it's very inflammatory, achy. And if you have anxiety, I mean, I do better. I'm almost too calm when I'm off coffee. And that's, I become like, hello. When I go on one of those vegan cleanses where I'm like, no, everything is pure and I have no caffeine other than green tea, my personality is like as interesting as a rock. I get very zen. I've had people tell me, Whimsy, you need to have some caffeine or some more one friend of mine said, I think you need to consume more calories because that's me on a vegan cleanse without caffeine. Yeah, it's not good. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the first question. Do we think that Trump is going to have a heart attack? Let's take a look. I hope not. I mean, yeesh, what a terrifying way to live. I mean, you wish everyone would be cognizant, It's like, he is coming, it's actually that he's coming to the truth of his situation. He is acting, he's on the campaign trail because he's an actor trying to get paid. He's an actor who desperately needs money. And that is the reason he's on the campaign trail, because the GOP has to fulfill their relationship with him, which is to pay him. So he's the actor being paid by the GOP to travel the world and play this part. That's what he's coming to the truth of his situation. And this is also the sort of truth. I think this guy is going to jail. He has really, really pissed off the judge. can see here his opposition money. So it's almost as if he has to do this thing. He's a one-trick pony. He's got to get out there and raise the money for the GOP, and you sign the contract, and he's exhausted, and he knows he's going down. He's opposition. He needs the money, the hopes and fears. He fears incarceration. He's in a constant state of conflict with the people who hired him for this part. He's an actor who's been hired, and now he's having conflict with his employer, the GOP. This is not someone who really believes in anything. He is wiped out financially, and I believe that the Scottish government is going to take his property in Scotland. In fact, Scotland could move faster than the Americans. Poverty is over him. They got his money. His victims got his money. They took his money. So lawsuits we don't know about. So properties and things being sold off and money being given to victims, hopes and fears. He fears a new beginning of incarceration. It is his karma, wheel of fortune. We've talked about this a lot. For every action, a reaction. Particularly if it's an aggressive or an abusive action, you're going to get a reaction of equal or greater force. And unfortunately, it was his karma, this conflict. Also, I'm going to go ahead and predict he has a falling out with the GOP. They fire him. He will be fired by the GOP because as an actor, he's not able to fulfill his contract. You guys want to talk about it? Somebody else will get the part, somebody who can fulfill that role for the GOP. It's an actor who's got to entertain he's not what he was. He can't play the role. He can't read the teleprompter, fire the actor. It really looks like that. And that's a bizarre kind of situation you find yourself when you go into it. Yeah, it's just crazy. Lifts in his shoes can make him lean. No, I don't think that's what it was, because all women wear lifts in their shoes. I mean, we have heels and we're not walking around like that. So I don't think it was his lifts, but maybe. I mean, okay, so Joel is switching things up a bit, and we're talking now about Putin's health. They're both about the same age, but they're very different people. Putin is a health freak, supposedly. At the same time, there's some evidence that Putin himself has a drug addiction problem. Injections. There's an energy of injections with him, that he may have done something or gotten involved, maybe when he was in Eastern Germany, when there was a lot of drug use. But there's something about Putin's health that looks like drug use, possibly even a history of IV drug use. Let's take a look at Putin's health. He fears incarceration. Remember, again, to look at what the computer says. What did the computer tell the IDF, and what did the IDF then share with the Security Council? This is what they shared with the Security Council, right? They shared the first 3 phases, but they didn't share the next 4 and 5. But if you're following along with the dots, if you're following along with the math, and you folks can follow the math, this is the math. And so we really can't avoid the math. So if you ask GPT chat for Grok, Bard, or anybody else, if you're just checking multiple computer systems and you don't have a computer system that's as high tech as whatever the military has, and you're just coming up with this as a mere civilian, you know very well they're coming up with something similar. And a great way for AI to save human lives. Number one, you've got to get to ceasefire in Ukraine as fast as possible. Exchange the hostages. Same with what's going on in Israel. And then you have to do a rebuild. Now, there's a concern about the rebuild because China wants to do the rebuild. What did we tell you when we did a remote? We said that she desperately needed money and he wanted the rebuild contract, and that he was going to break away from Russia because he wants that contract with Zelensky. Is anybody surprised that he's now getting wooed by China? Of course not. Of course not. And then we can see number 4 is the isolating of Putin. Tried in The Hague would be sooner rather than later, but the guy's going to get arrested. And then the 5th is they will begin moving on completely dismantling Iranian leadership. It is the conclusion of the computers, and we're talking multiple computers, that the source of the wars is Iran. So the only way it's going to stop is if you remove the cause, and the cause is Iranian leadership. So if that's the data, and if we've racked our brains for days and days and days, putting it through the computer over and over and over again and saying, this can't be the data, this can't be the data. Nobody wants to hear that the only way to stop is you're going to have to take out how do you take out a government? But the computer is not emotionally attached. You want to save people's lives, you're going to have to remove the cause. And the cause of these problems is Russia invading. So, specifically Putin. So you have to remove Putin. So he fears incarceration. He's becoming increasingly isolated. If the that's what the computer says. It's just math, right? So does everybody start to see it? Of course, because everybody starts looking at the numbers, right? And then everybody starts sharing data, right? So he's facing incarceration. He's becoming increasingly cornered. His opposition is strong. Also, we're pushing forward, right? The West is pushing forward. He's being pushed back. This is armistice, right? 3 of Cups. Queen of Swords is coming in. I don't see how this war could continue when he has no money. It goes back to the remotes we've talked about, that this army is broke. He was foolish. He was naive. He didn't have military training. It's not the same thing if you're FSB. It's not like he's a general. He was foolish. Foolish behavior led to incarceration. The clarification was the fool. Inverted fool would be to be foolish. It's the first card we talk about. We also talk about it being neutral energy or formless and void. And then it splits into yin and yang, which is the magician and the high priestess. We're just now in mystical tarot class. If you want to join us, we get together every Friday. So his foolishness, look at this. They offer him peace after they take it. His hopes and fears is the military. And then here armistice again, and then 6 of Cups. He has to take it because he has no more money. In terms of his health, I don't know about health, but I can tell you he's finished. There's no way with those cards. He fears the truth. The other thing is that he fears the truth. He fears truth and justice. Hyperlipidemia. Hyperlipidemia is elevated cholesterol and fats in the blood. All right, Lama Bryant. She says, we're talking about a book that we've read by Robert Sapolsky, Behave. Determined, he basically completely undercuts his premise of no free will in his chapter on quantum physics. Now Sapolsky is a MacArthur genius. Well, let's just see. I think that meditation and HCRV causes you to move beyond your own emotional impulses, which is one of the reasons why it's helped me a lot personally, and which is why I enjoy teaching it to people. Kieran thinks that Trump just does a lot of drugs. I don't know. But I know as a healthcare provider that my first thoughts when I saw the slurring of the words, that's usually barbiturates, alcohol, benzos. Yeah. Oh my God, do I love French fries. I think all-time favorite foods, salty, homemade, real French fries, good quality. I like steak fries, but I like McDonald's small fries, but they're not good when they're cold. You got to get them when they're piping hot. What are your favorite French fries? Absolutely, we should talk about it. Um, Favorite food for me, I'll say, and they taste really good together, is chocolate brownies and French fries together. Now, how's that for junk food that goes great together? When you want a fat high. Just want to get fats in there. Just fudge brownie with frosting on top. Sara Lee is the best. And something salty to go with it. It's awesome. So yeah, French fries, spaghetti, bolognese with lots of Parmesan is my favorite. I could just eat bowls of it. I go insane over a good spaghetti bolognese. I like it more than meatballs because I like it all mixed together. Um, yeah, good tacos. I like a good taco. Um, but definitely French fries, and I like hamburgers. Yeah, I like a good cheeseburger. Yeah, you can get them vegan or vegetarian. You don't have to. The best vegan burger I've ever had was the chickpea burger I got in Los Angeles, West Hollywood on Fairfax it's on Fairfax and Melrose. The dog, what's it called? It's called the Lab. Something. It's got the name of a dog or something. Brewing pub. Yeah, they've got great vegan burgers, just delicious with it's just really meaty, chunky chickpeas with this aioli sauce. And my husband and I went there, and we didn't eat a lot of meat. We're mostly vegetarian, and we both just went, and their fries were amazing. And we just both said, "Man, that was the best frickin' burger I've ever eaten in my entire life," and it was vegan. They made it their own. They made it their own. Yeah. Oh yeah, artichokes. I love artichokes. Ice cream and pretzels. Favorite ice cream? Do you guys like Haagen-Dazs vanilla almond? Spaghetti with butter and garlic is Debbie's favorite. Okay, falafel platter. Yes, definitely. I love hummus. When I'm in Israel, I look for like the real hummus with the hot chickpeas in it, poured in it. I look for the best. I look for the workers' places, and yeah, it's all good stuff. Okay, so the criticism right now. Let's go into it. About Iran becoming stronger because of Biden. That Biden is not hard on Iran because he's not increasing sanctions, and that if we are to believe the computer, and we have no reason not to, we use multiple computers. They can't all be working. We can't all be working for the man, right? If we continue to prop them up, if we continue to do business and take away sanctions against Iran, what's going to happen to the future of the Middle East? Is there an incentive for Iran to change? If they've just got another $40 billion and they're putting 60 million towards Hezbollah and towards this war, which has killed countless people, and propping up Hamas, how will it end? All right, so let's take a look at Iran's leadership and if it's going to fall. Now they're setting up shop in Saudi Arabia. They haven't been friends with Saudi Arabia for 1,000 years, but now they have an embassy. They're putting up a consulate, right? So Saudi Arabia is moving towards the east because no longer enamored with the United States. Future of Iran. They're looking for partnerships. They're looking for partnerships. Their opposition is the War King. The hopes and fears, the Star. Probably Israel, because we have the Star. Final outcome, they're building something new. Could be that Saudi Arabia attempts to broker a peace deal between Iran and Israel, but I would be highly skeptical. They're starting a new family dynasty. Their opposition is walking away. Their hopes and fears ends, and what they build, is the High Priestess. That's interesting. So it's like something powerful is coming their way. Some good partnership, and wow, I think female leadership is coming to Iran also. Look at this. Women's power, women's leadership coming to Iran, and it's not going to be entirely a military overtake. There's going to be strong position for women as well. Wow, very cool. Trump's sentencing July 17th. I think that he's facing incarceration. Let's take a look. Two of Cups. That's compassionate, right? His opposition is the world. His hopes and fears, Five of Swords, that they will take the weapons of war against him. And his final outcome is he's leaving, Eight of Cups. So he's not going to be the president. His finances are finished. His finances were yes. You know, maybe he'll have enough, a small little bit for himself to retire with, like his presidential retirement. You can see here, there's an armistice over him, so I think he's going to make a deal with somebody, but his finances are terrible. Look at that. I think internationally some stuff should come. He should have some stuff taken away. Also, his partnerships have completely collapsed. Hoarding onto his coin, I think it's going to be he's not going to have much when they're done with him. Yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to go have some breakfast. I have not had my breakfast yet. I'm trying to reduce my calories, you know. I think I'll have a banana. Let's break my fast with a banana. Yeah, we've been going for a while. Well, you guys had a lot of questions. It was the number one question of the week was Trump's cognitive decline, I guess. Well, George Stephanopoulos on ABC was talking about it. So I think I just don't see much. I don't see a future here. Yeah. I think it's sad, to be honest. I think it's a little sad. Yeah. All right, my loves, have a blessed day. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, I would love to give you one. Please find the information below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. Love and light, everyone. God bless. Bye.